Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to another episode of SplattRCast. I'm your friendly neighborhood DR, better known as Celtic, however you may know me. I again am here, joined with some players from the SplattR roster, this time from the west side. Joining us today is Travis, the captain of the West Coast roster, Purity, a longtime standing member of the month-long roster, and our newest add, Soulja. Soulja comes from Mr. Steal Your Win, and we're excited to have him in this exciting and dynamic roster that we're looking to see going forward. Now, gentlemen, how are y'all doing today?
Good.
I'm good.
I'm okay.
Purity, just okay? Purity, why are you just okay?
Because I'm like trying to eat.
Trying to eat. Middle of the SplattRcast. I like the enthusiasm about food. It's important to eat food on times like that. So, Soulja gets added to the roster today, actually. So the announcement on Twitter hasn't even gone out yet. He's brand new, brand spanking new. Both of you talked to him a little bit when we brought him in. Thoughts? Originally, we're gonna throw him right in the spotlight. Purity, Travis, thoughts on Soulja?
Nose goes.
Nose goes. I don't think the captain can call nose goes on this newest member.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh.
I got you. What is it? My first impressions on Soulja when he first joined, honestly, to me, I feel like he has like a really good attitude. He has like a spunky kind of vibe to him, and concerning the roles that he plays, that's entry and support. If he plays like really explosive, like I used to, because before IGL, I used to be entry, and I was a really explosive like entry. But I feel like if he could just work well, get those kills, he'll fucking mix, you know?
Fucking mix. I like it. Travis, anything to add?
I think it's good that we're finally starting to get some decent players who don't throw. Attitude-wise, I think it's going to be good. JP or Jay Parsons has hyped him up a little bit, so I'm excited to see how it would work with Puret's IGLing with his explosive entries. I think that'll bring a good combination.
I think you're exactly right. I think he's an exciting pickup, and we're excited to have him here in SplattR. Soulja, anything to add on joining the SplattR roster? I know it's a pretty new organization in your eyes. Any thoughts?
Well, so far I like the people in here. They seem pretty chill. They seem determined, unlike some of my old teammates. Like, you guys will actually want to get something done and not just fuck around.
Solid point. I think we all can speak for the better that we definitely want to, quote, get things done. Moving on from Soulja alone, we'll take him out of the spotlight for a little bit. Let's talk about Luck League. We've been playing in a Discord league called Luck League, correct?
Yes.
Right. Started off a little rocky. Let's talk about that. First week we go down to Helios. Let's talk about that one first.
So I guess I will, since I'm the captain. So what pretty much happened, we lost, but we put up a really good fight, as they're supposed to be one of the better teams in the league. Our CT or T side was really well, but then they just beat us on the other side due to simple mistakes and not having a full roster at the time.
Right, and I think the Luck League has started right after I had formed this Western roster, and we were playing with a couple stand-ins, hadn't quite had the practice time. So that was week 1. Moving to week 2, we match up against Illumina Esports, a roster that we know to be talented. You see Silvio on there, you see Luffness on there, guys that are pretty big in the amateur scene when it comes to skill levels. Let's talk about that game for a minute. We go up 14-2 before they start doing anything. Ends up in double overtime. Purity, you got something to add on that game there?
Yeah, like you said, we ended up 14-2 on T side. We started off really well on CT. We kept killing them on their executes. To me, I don't think they were really doing any executes, but if they were, we were just stomping them right through. But when we turned to CT side, after we got that 14th round on our side, and they got 2, I feel like we started to just lack a bit. What is it? I feel like we just started to just relax too much, and I don't know. I feel like they just what is it? overcame us and took advantage of us kind of lacking. But when it came to overtime, I feel like we came back alive, but we couldn't finish.
Sure. Overtime definitely a difficult situation. And that's a tough game to lose after going up so far in the scoreboard. But after week 2 came in, had some talked together, went over some things. Week 3 comes around. Boy, do I like to talk about week 3. Matchup against Frostbite. I think we all know how that one ended out. Why don't one of you boys, let them know what the score of that one was?
Oh, I will. I'll do the honors. So we ended up beating them. No, not beating them. We ended up destroying them, 16-3, and we had 2 standings with yours truly, Dr. and Ace, the captain of the East Coast roster.
That's correct. I did stand in on that one and did not anchor the team too badly. So matched up on Inferno against Frostbite. Now I realize it's one of the lower Frostbite rosters, but definitely put the whoop on them there. So exciting win for us there to keep us alive in Luck League. It is kind of an interesting format. It is 5 rounds and 3 wins in those 5 rounds will push you through to the playoffs. So 2 weeks left remaining in that. And the next week matchup here coming up against a possibly misunderstood naming of Mr. Steal Your Win. Now there have been a couple iterations of that roster. In fact, Soldier comes from one of those iterations.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a bit. We bring in the new blood in Soldier. We bring in the guys from the previous roster. This is the first time we've had a solid 5 in the West willing to go to work. Mr. Steal Your Win losing control in that they've lost control of the player. In that roster. Not sure how they're going to replace him at the moment. Originally thought we were going to be awarded a forfeit win. Turns out that's not the case. We will play the game. That game is this Friday, by the way. If you feel like tuning in, it will probably be streamed on the SplattR Twitch channel. So let's talk about that for a minute. Thoughts, concerns, maybe some strategies looking forward to this Mr. Steal Your Win game.
Well, back when Control was on my team, he usually set up very structured strats, and or at least with my team, we couldn't really do anything else without them. So I'm curious to see if this team will just crumble without him or not.
Mr. Steal Your Win in this league have definitely found some success in places that didn't make sense and failed to find success in places that have. So sort of an inconsistent roster. Excited to see this new iteration, of course, and see how our guys match up against them.
Hey guys.
Surprised guess Yundor is going to show up. Hey, Yon, how you doing?
Never mind.
Oh, he's gone. Travis took care of it. He's gone. Alright, we're going to take care of that real quick. Just go ahead and do some quick fixing on the SplattRCast here. Bop. Save. Look at that. All fixed. Wow. The good stuff happening here in the SplattR Discord. Of course, I am running this through Discord if you can't tell by the plug-in there on the top. Okay, moving past SplattR, as we tend to do at the end of these SplattRcasts, looking forward to the greater tiers of CS than us. The ESL finals are finally coming to be. The teams from the EU have been chosen, and just about all of the teams from North America have been knocked out. There's a couple of to and fro's about who's going to be the 6th North American spot. But
it's actually Ints. They made it.
Ints made it. That happened recently. Yeah. All right, so
yeah.
Your last team's going to be Ints there. So the team name's pretty big: Astralis, Navi, Big, North, Hellraisers, Mouse Sports, G2, and from North America you got NRG, Ghost, who have been a big surprise this season, Renegades, Liquid, MIBR, coming from the Oceanic region, Order, coming from the Asian side, VG, still a South American qualifier to be chosen, but that last North American spot's going to go to Ints. Let's talk about that. A lot of big competition. Big names from EU. I think nobody is very surprised at some of those names. Definitely not quite a surprise for most of the North American names. You see NRG, Liquid, no Cloud9. But given the roster changes they've been through and losing Skadoodle and all of that conundrum they've been in, maybe not as surprising to see them not quite succeed here. The two big outliers to me, Ghost taking ESL Pro League in North America by storm. Actually, very dominantly taking their way through that league there, and Renegades with the two young guns after they redid that roster, losing Nifty, their IGL, moving some people around. They pick up Liaz, pick up Gratisfaction, and they've actually done fairly well in the ESL Pro League. I want to hear from each of you who you think is going to take home the W in that whole culmination in that finals week. So
Well, as much as I'd like to go NA, I feel like the EU teams are just too dominant right now. The only like good team in NA that can really do damage are like Liquid Energy. But Ghost is like mainly online. I haven't seen improvement on LAN recently. And then Energy's like well on LAN, it's just that they can never seem to close out games against EU teams. But the main team, I think that it's going to be a problem. Like for Astralis, I'd say it was Navi.
So if Astralis and Navi match up in the finals, who's taking it home for you, Soldier?
I want to root for Navi, but if they act the way they played at Chicago, I don't think they'll do as well.
So Astralis for Soldier is going to be his pick there. It's probably a solid pick. Purity, what do you have to add?
Honestly, from like the looks of these teams, very big names, very notable names to be exact. If I were gonna go North America, honestly, I would say Liquid, considering they were in the final in the last tournament. But I haven't been keeping up with the pro scene lately. But from past tournaments that I've watched, Liquid has been really up there. They've been close to winning, but they've been coming up short. In terms of EU, honestly, Astralis is like the big name, and Navi too. Also big, if you know, to Cologne, they were very dominant on there. If they could pull their strides from Cologne, I feel like they could take it. But honestly, I gotta go with what Soldier's been saying, Astralis.
Astralis from Purity as well, definitely could see an upset in the ways of big as they did in Cologne. Travis, to close us out, what do you got for me, Travis?
I think Liquid will make it up there, but if they get again matched against either Navi or Astralis, I think they'll come short, as they usually do. No shade, but full. But I'm putting my faith in Navi, and I think Navi would overcome Astralis. In my honest opinion.
Interesting choice from Travis as he picks Navi over Astralis. We'll see how the boys' picks turn out over the coming weeks as those ESL Pro League finals come into culmination on LAN here in a week or two. Not sure on the official date on that. But as it turns out, that is the end of our SplattRCast here. Thank you all for joining me. As always, you can find us on our website, www.splatter.pro. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/splatterstreams. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at @drsplatter. That's where all the news will come in as SplattR develops into a more blossoming org. Make sure to keep in touch with the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit that little dinger bell to get the notifications as things come out. More SplattRcasts, more pugs, some frag videos coming out very soon. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you for joining us. This has been DR. Have a great whatever time it is.